Hi everyone, my name is Mateusz and welcome on my Wild Tapes channel. First of all, thank you so much for all your support. This channel has over 7,000 subscribers right now, which is just amazing, and I've never thought it would be so popular in our Wild community. If you haven't subscribed my channel yet, do it now to be sure you won't miss any video. Today I have something special for you, an exclusive interview with the author of the first Kim Wilde biography ever written. He's a real Kim Wilde expert. In the past he collaborated with EMI and Cherry Red, doing a great job with the compilations and remastered versions of Kim's first 3 albums. Now he has written a book. He's a good friend of Kim and good friend of mine, of course. Please welcome Marcel Rijs. Hi Marcel. Marcel, could you tell us how the idea of writing a book came into your head? Have you had any writing experience before?
I've always written a lot. When I was young I used to write stories and I've also written articles a lot for work more recently. But obviously that was all in Dutch. The English language has always had my interest because of listening to pop music when I was younger, and I'm still listening to pop music obviously. When I started using the internet, I had to learn fast, and pretty quickly I picked up more about the English language than I did at school.
How much time did it take for you to write this book? Was it hard for you to write in English because it's not your native language?
I started writing the book at the beginning of 2020. I didn't really expect that there would be a lockdown at that time, but obviously it helped. I didn't really think that my English was that good, but I wrote the liner notes for the 3 Kim Wilde reissues for Cherry Pop in 2019. And it was actually Tom Parker, who I worked with on those reissues, who convinced me that my English was actually not that bad. So it was kind of a challenge to myself to see if I could write an entire book in that language.
This book is a nice gift for every Kim Wilde fan celebrating her 40th anniversary of her great career. Did you talk with Kim about this book before you started writing?
No, initially I was just writing the book for myself. So I just wanted to see if I could actually pull it off, because writing a book was still something I wasn't sure I could do. A few months into writing, I bought this book about AHA, and this gave me the inspiration for the structure of my book, and also the publisher whom I contacted after reading this. And then things quickly became more serious.
I think it was really hard to write a book about Kim and respect her privacy. Does the book also include stories from her private life, or is it focused solely on her career?
I've always been a bit wary about invading Kim's private life. Even on the website you will find some articles from the tabloid press which I think were sometimes a bit distasteful, but in my quest to be complete as you can be, I still included them. But for the book I thought it would be wise not to engage in all kinds of hearsay or rumors, but just stick to the story of her career. Of course her private life does get into that career from time to time. Obviously Kim Wilde fans will know about her so-called depression in the early 90s, and of course when she gets married this is relevant to the story as well. So I do touch upon the private life, but I tend to stay away from the more disputable stuff.
Your knowledge about Kim's life is really impressive. From where did you get all this knowledge? Was it the press, TV interviews, radio interviews, or maybe something else?
I based the book on newspaper articles, magazine articles, radio interviews, TV interviews, and of course my own experiences when I was following Kim around during various tours in the last 20 years. And of course I've had the opportunity to speak with Kim in the past, and it has given me some insight into what the kind of person she is. And I think that helps when you write a biography about someone.
Could you tell us some names of people whom you talked to during the process of writing a book?
Writing the book has been kind of a lonely experience, because I spent 1 or 2 hours every evening for a couple of months before I could even talk about it with some people. From that point on, I was obviously supported by friends and family, and when I started sending out interviews to some people like Anton Corbijn, Nick Beggs, Richard Blanchard, I was really pleased that they were willing to help out in the book. And this obviously helped. This was obviously helped by the fact that there was a lockdown and people were at home and had some time to respond. So not everything about the COVID-19 pandemic is bad news, because well, I've got some contributions that I wouldn't necessarily have had if the world was more normal.
The book is illustrated with many photos. Will we be able to see some previously unseen photos of Kim?
Yes, definitely. The biggest contribution to the book is obviously from Katrien Verkeenje, who I've worked with for the last 20 years on the website. And she's made some wonderful photographs, and some of them have never been seen before, so that will be a treat. And I've also approached a couple of photographers who have contributed a few photographs that, well, maybe they were published once or twice, but they are quite rare. So you will be seeing some really special stuff inside the book.
We know that the book is starting in 1939 with the birth of Marty Wilde. It's a really good place to start this story, but how did you split the rest of the chapters? Year by year, album by album, tour by tour?
Right from the start, I thought I had to begin with the birth of Marty Wilde, because he was the start of the musical story of the Wilde family. Most people will know that he had big hits in the late 50s and early 60s, and that he wrote the early hits for Kim. But what did he do in the 2 decades in between? This book tries to shed some light on that, and the first 2 chapters are devoted to that story. And then obviously Kim's career starts with Kids in America, so that gets a whole chapter, and then the rest of the book is divided into albums and the associated tours. So every album gets its own chapter. And then there obviously are also 2 chapters devoted to Kim's gardening career. From 97 until 2005. So you get the whole story and not just part of it.
I think the years 1986 to 1988 were really a highlight in Kim's career. A lot of things happened in that period. Number one with You Keep Me Hanging On in America, Say You Really Want Me band video, the best-selling album Close was released, or the tour with Michael Jackson. Was it the hardest chapter to write?
No, that was actually the easiest chapter to write because there's such a lot of information about it. I had more trouble with the chapter about Now and Forever because the album is one of my favorites, so I wanted to give it the attention that it deserves, but there's not a lot of material to use. She was interviewed a few times in '95, but pretty soon after the album was released, she accepted the role in Tommy. So there's only a few interviews I could base the story on, and then it gets a little hard to write a good chapter about it. So that's the one I've struggled a bit with.
And which chapter was the easiest one?
Yes, the chapters about Another Step and Close, like I said just now, were the easiest ones to write because there's a lot of interviews and articles to base the chapters on. So it wasn't really that hard. Actually, it was a bit hard to stay in one continuous story because I kept finding more and more sources. So having to write one continuous story about that part of her career was a bit of a challenge, but it was pretty easy.
Tell us please, what is your favorite period in Kim's career?
My own favorite period was 1983 and 1984. Catch As Catch Can and Teasers and Dares were remarkable albums, and they were the first two albums of Kim that I ever bought. I especially liked Kim's image in 1984 with all the colorful clothing, well, bear in mind I was only 13 or 14 years old at the time, and for most people that's the period when they form their musical taste for the rest of their lives. Well, I'm not different to anyone else, I think.
You started your website in 1996. Why did it take so long, 25 years, to decide to write a book?
It just never entered my mind that I could do it. It's just as simple as that. I wouldn't think of writing a book in Dutch because there wouldn't be enough people interested to buy a book in Dutch. It's kind of weird because I didn't really intend to write a book for sale, but that was something I thought of right at the beginning in January last year, that writing a book in Dutch didn't make much sense. So I never thought I could write that well in English, and so it took 25 years to make this book. But you could also say that having made the website for 25 years has actually helped, because I would never have been able to write in English if I hadn't spent 25 years making websites.
Do you remember your first meeting with Kim?
My very first meeting with Kim Wilde was in 1994 in a huge queue of people after the last concert of the Hits tour in Tilburg. Many people were asking for her autograph, and I just joined the line and did the same. And a similar thing happened when she was in Tommy. I've seen Tommy 3 times, and the last time was actually the last performance. of Tommy, and I waited at the stage door like many other people, and joined the queue once again, and once again got her autographs. But the first real meeting, I guess, was in January 2001, when she did the concert with Faba, and we actually had some time to talk, and I have to say it was kind of an emotional moment, because we never expected Kim to do a comeback, and we never suspected that the story in music would continue after that. So it felt like a last chance, but we all know now that it wasn't.
How did Kim and her music influence your life? Did you have her posters above your bed in the 80s?
I tend to underestimate that because I was always interested in pop music. Even at the age of 4, I was watching Top Op, the Dutch equivalent of Top of the Pops. And my older brother and sister were watching it, so it was kind of gradually introduced to me that pop music was an important thing. One of my first idols were the Sparks, because I was quite impressed by the man with the little mustache. And then I became a fan of ABBA and Boney M and Kate Bush when I was just a little older. And Kim Wilde was just one of the artists to appear on Top Op in '81. And I started buying her singles just out of the fact that I liked the songs. So I just gradually grew into becoming a fan. And then obviously I started collecting articles, and I did have a few posters of her on my wall in a large part of the 80s.
For sure, this book is a must-have for every Kim Wilde fan, but it will be also a great book for someone who doesn't know Kim. Can you agree? Do you think that after reading your book, the number of Kim's fans will increase?
I honestly don't know if my book or any book will get an artist more fans, but I do think that the book is relevant because we tend to forget that Kim Wilde was one of the most successful female singers of the 80s, and so she has formed an important part of pop history, if you like. If you're interested in pop music, you would want to read this book, I think.
The book also includes a foreword by Kim herself, right? Was it her initiative or yours?
Kim has written a lovely foreword for the book, but it was actually the publisher who suggested this. After all these years, I'm still too shy to suggest such a thing to her. So it was the publisher who had to persuade me to ask him to do this. And I'm really glad that she obliged.
Thank you so much for this great and interesting interview. Congratulations with the book. I wish you all the best, and I do hope the book will be a bestseller. If you want to pre-order the book, see the link in video description or on the screen below. Remember, the first 1000 copies come with an exclusive 2-track CD featuring previously unreleased versions of 2 early Kim Wilde tracks, Child Come Away and Sparks. So it's really worth to pre-order now. That's it for the moment. Thanks for watching. Take care and stay wild.